Visibility.
Okay. Do you want me to go through, I don't know how much they want me to go through of the questioning. Do you want everything that I'm going to ask?
Well, you'll have to have enough evidence to
Well,
prove
just
that it's admissible.
it doesn't have to be a full-blown jury issue, but enough for me to determine whether or not it could be proved beyond a reasonable doubt.
We're going to, for purposes of the record, we're going to call you Billy. We're just going to use your first name, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you
Okay.
move closer to the microphone? There you go.
Yeah, make sure you speak up. How do you know Tanner Horner?
I know Tanner Horner because my uncle had a baby with his mom, and I was raised as his cousin.
And so how long have you known Tanner?
Since I was 3 years old.
Was there a time when you lived on the same property as Tanner Horner?
Yes.
Do you recall about what time frame that was?
2000 to 2004.
And after around that same time period of 2003, 2004, was there some type of sexual assault incident that happened to you?
Yes.
And can you tell us what that is?
It was a sexual assault down by Lake Worth Lake, right down the street from Tanner's grandmother's house.
And
Do I need to go into detail?
so, and that was, what location was that though, specifically?
Just to the right of the boat dock, off into the trees right there.
And yeah, can you tell us, you don't have to give the full version, but what happened to you there?
He went back there, he pulled out his penis, he started masturbating. He told me to suck it, and then he grabbed my head and made me. And then he told me to bend over, he tried to put it in, it would not go in. And then he told me to continue sucking, and then he pulled out and finished by masturbating.
And did you tell Tanner no, or did you go along with it? What happened?
I was scared of Tanner. He was bigger than me, he's beaten me up before. I went along with it.
And after that point, was there a different incident that happened to you?
It was later on around 2007 when Paranormal Activity first movie came out. I woke up to him masturbating above my head. He pretended that he was asleep. I moved out the way, yelled several times, and he just kept on doing it, and then I waited till he went back to bed, and I laid down and went back to bed.
After these incidents, did you ever hang out with Tanner and one of his best friends, Cody?
Yes.
And can you recall anything about that event?
It was 4th of July. Tanner's grandmother had parked her van at the fireworks stand. It ran out of gas because I guess she was sitting on a hill. It wouldn't start. It rolled back. Cody gave us a ride home to his house, and in the car on the ride home, Tanner had mentioned he'd wondered what it would be like to kill somebody.
And how old were you about that time?
That time I was older. I was had it been 2008 or 9.
And so that first sexual assault was around 2003, 2004?
Mm-hmm.
And the second sexual assault was 2007?
Mm-hmm.
How old were you at those times?
2004, I would have been 10 years old.
And 2007?
Let's see. 13, 14, somewhere around there.
And then this other event was in 2009 when you made that comment.
Mm-hmm.
And how old, what is the age difference between you and Tanner Horner?
About 3 years.
Have you spoken to anybody about these sexual assault incidents before?
Yes, before the trial started, I spoke to the defense.
How many times?
Once. She came out to our house. It was warm outside. I believe my kids had just started back to school. And she was in a white SUV, tan overcoat, and tan pants.
And did you have a phone call with anybody from the defense as well?
Yes, it was 2 to 3 weeks ago.
And in both of those conversations, what did you tell the defense? You don't have to go into detail, but
The first one, I told her about the sexual assault. And the second one was over the phone. She initially called my mom, and I told her about the sexual assault when I jumped on the phone with her.
that's what it's judge.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, there were some different dates there when you were answering those questions. Can you help me out? In the notice we received, it talked about the first incident being between 2001 and 2003. Does that sound right?
2001, 2003 would have been when he set the hay bales on fire and started a fire in his backyard.
That's when you were living at Risinger Road.
Yes.
Okay, so this would have been after that when he moved back to the shack.
Yes, around 2004 is when I moved off the farm. He was back at Jackie's.
Okay, and the second incident, is 2007 accurate for that?
Yes, it was the same year the paranormal activity came out because Melissa rented it from the Red Box.
Okay, so the 2004 incident, you two would have been what ages?
2004, I would have been 10 or 11. He would
You would
have
have
been.
been 12 or 13?
Yep.
And then the 2007, you'd have been 13 or 14, and he'd been 15, 16?
Yep.
And the statement about wondering what it'd be like to kill somebody, you said that was 2007?
That was around 2007, 2008.
Okay. So once again, he's 16-ish.
Hmm. Yep.
Said a yes. Okay.
And did you speak to your mom or anyone else about this incident?
No, I never told my mom about the sexual assaults or any of that.
Okay. Now, when you say you spoke to the defense, you don't mean Susan, right?
No, over the phone call the second time, she named herself Shawnee.
And was your mom present for either of those conversations?
Yes, my mom was present for the phone call one, and my mom was present for the one where she showed up at her house. I just happened to be at my mom's house when she showed up.
And what made you decide to come forward now?
The fact that he killed a kid and it's the truth needs to be told. I talked to defense and I told them many times I wanted to speak to the prosecution, and they never got me in contact with the prosecution, so I posted on Facebook.
You said many times, you said you spoke to him twice?
When I spoke to the lady the first time, I told her I wanted to talk to the prosecution.
Okay.
She never got me in contact with them. When I spoke to Shawnee, I told her I wanted to talk to the prosecution. She never got me in contact with them. So I went to Facebook, and then the state contacted me off of Facebook.
Okay. You posted on Facebook, and then Ranger Espinoza called you, came to see you? What happened?
WFPD left Wichita Falls Police Department left a card at my door, and I made the choice to make the phone call to Ranger Espinoza.
You're right, pass the witness.
Redirect.
Nothing for the right now, Judge.
Any objections?
Here, I object on the grounds of basically surprise. Even the last supplemental information we had different dates than he's testifying to here today. This witness was not. We've had a long, extended time to deal with extraneous acts. This witness was not noticed to us before the trial started.
Those objections are overruled. He'll be allowed to testify, and you may have a running objection to his testimony throughout his testimony. Both sides ready for the jury?
Ready, Judge.
Let's go. All right, everyone may be seated. Ms. Dewell.
Thank you, Judge. Again, you can just use your first name, but can you introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Billy.
And who do you currently live with?
Currently live with my wife, my mother-in-law, and my 3 kids.
And how are you related to Tanner Horner?
My uncle had a baby with his mother, and I was raised as his cousin
So how long have you known Tanner Horner then?
since about 3 years old.
And during your childhood, were you around Tanner Horner a lot or a little?
I was around him a lot.
And what did you guys do when you guys were around each other?
Usually playing, he liked to pretend play Dragon Ball Z, and it ended up him just beating us up. Throwing rocks in the rivers, creeks, out there on Rising Road.
Was there a time when you guys lived on the same property?
Yes,
And what time period was that, roughly?
2000 to 2004.
After 2004, did you have any contact with Tanner Horner at that point?
Yes,
And where was Tanner Horner living at that time?
at Jackie's house in Lake Worth. Sorry.
What got you into contact with us, the state, in this case?
The fact that I told the defense I wanted to speak to the prosecution, and out of impulse I made a Facebook post.
You made a Facebook post. When did you post that?
I posted that 2 to 3 weeks ago.
And what did you post?
It was a post about, let's see, Zero is fabricated, Tanner Horner sexually assaulted me, and basically beat me and Nicholas up as children.
And when did you meet with the state prosecution for the first time in this case? Roughly.
26 of last month.
So of April?
Yeah.
From that Facebook post, you just mentioned that there was some type of a sexual assault. I'm going to ask you a few questions about that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The event that you posted about, and you don't have to be exact on dates, okay? but do you know about when that first incident happened?
The first sexual assault?
Yes.
The first sexual assault happened right around 2004.
And where did that happen?
Down the street from Jackie's house, Lake Worth Lake, by the boat dock, off in the wooded area.
And you say from Jackie's house. How far away from Jackie's house is this boat dock?
Not even 5 to 10 minutes.
So how did y'all get there?
The walk.
So it's a 5-10 minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go there frequently before this, or have you been there before?
Yeah, me, him, and Nicholas would always go play at the park, go down to the lake, climb on the rocks and all that stuff. They had piles of sand out there. And then one day, Nicholas didn't want to go with us that day.
Now, how old are you at that time, and then how old is Tanner Horner at that time?
I would have been about 10. Tanner would have been about 13.
So Tanner Horner's about 3 years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, is Tanner bigger or smaller than you?
He was bigger than me.
Can you go ahead and tell the jury what happened on that day?
About the whole sexual assault?
Yes.
All right, it started off as we were all going to go play down at the park as usual. We ended up walking down the street. Tanner wanted to go to the boat dock. We ended up going off into a little wooded area of the boat dock. Tanner immediately pulled out his penis, started masturbating. He told me to get down and start sucking it. I was scared of Tanner at the time, so I did. And when a little bit of time goes by, he tells me to bend over. He tried to put it in. It would not fit, I guess. So he turned around and he had me suck it some more. And then he finished by masturbating next to the tree.
At this point, why were you scared of Tanner at that time?
Because he would like to pretend play Dragon Ball Z, which ended up him just beating us up and kneeing us in the stomach.
And
I was scared of him.
the us, was that his brother?
Mm-hmm.
Was there another sexual assault incident?
Yes.
And again, we're going to kind of, I know dates sometimes are, but do you recall the date on that sexual assault incident?
Same year Paranormal Activity came out, the very first one, 2007.
Okay.
He woke up to him masturbating above my head. He pretended like he was asleep. I backed off in the corner. He continued to act like he was asleep. Then he laid back down, covered up. And I just stayed there until I made sure he was asleep, and I went back to sleep.
Now, at this point, I think you were probably around 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And with the 2007 incident?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
The court reporter has to take down all your answers.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So just say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
So after these two sexual assault incidents that happened to you, past when you were 13, did Tanner Horner ever sexually assault you again?
No, he didn't sexually assault me again.
Okay. After this point, though, did you still have some contact with Tanner Horner?
Yes, I got dropped over there to hang out with him. My parents were going through their own issues.
And was there an occasion where you hung out with Tanner and his friend Cody?
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell us about that?
No
Yeah.
objection, hearsay.
He hadn't testified as to anything said. Don't testify as to what other people told you. You can testify as to what happened.
Testify to what I heard, right?
Nope, can't do that. You can only testify as to what you saw.
I saw directly from Tanner.
Rephrase your question.
Can you, when you hung out with Tanner and his friend Cody, did Tanner Horner make a statement to you?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
And what did Tanner say?
Tanner said he wondered what it would be like to kill somebody.
how do you remember that statement?
But it triggered in my head when he actually did kill somebody.
And do you recall about when this happened?
It was 4th of July. It had been after 2007, so about 8 or 9.
So 2008 or 2009? The sexual assaults that you posted about, you just told us about, who else have you told about these?
I told
Objection, relevance.
Sustain. No, hold on. She'll ask you a question.
Now, Billy, in 2015, did you get arrested and ultimately convicted for a solicitation of prostitution charge?
yes.
That did not involve a child, though, did it?
No.
Have you ever kidnapped, sexually assaulted, or murdered a child?
Objection,
No.
relevance.
Sustain.
I'll pass witness, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Billy, I have a question for you. The school records show that Tanner moved back in with Jackie in 2002. Would that change the dates we're talking about for you?
I guess I'm going off my memory.
Okay. So if he was in the Azle School District in 2002, then we back those years up a couple years. Would that still fit your memory? Would you may have been, what would that make you?
Maybe
8 or 9 and him 10,
probably, yeah.
something like that? 10, 11, something, 9, 10, something. Now, now the second incident when you two were teenagers, there was no physical contact.
No physical contact.
Now you said that you and Tanner, you're not blood relatives. You're related through his half brother.
Yep. Yes.
And your family and his family, before he moved back in with Jackie, rented houses on a farm,
Mm-hmm.
separate houses.
Yes.
So that's why you were around each other so much then.
Yes.
Now, at that time, when you and Tanner were forced to hang out a lot, were your parents struggling with an addiction?
Yes.
And Tanner's mother, and I guess her boyfriend at the time, your uncle, were they struggling with heroin and meth addiction?
Yes.
And did you tell, I guess you stated to Ranger Espinoza that Jackie was too busy dealing with those addictions to actually raise Tanner and his brother?
Yes.
Is that how you felt?
That's how I felt.
Did you and Tanner witness Tanner's mother chasing your uncle out of the house with a butcher knife?
Yes, it was me, Tanner, and Nicholas all put up a tent in the living room, and Melissa comes through chasing Eddie out the house with a butcher knife.
Okay, so
That was on Risinger Road.
And after that is when Tanner moved back in with his grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Did they get evicted?
I'm assuming so, yes.
Now, the time that you knew Tanner, was he ever depressed?
Not that I know of. He was just over energetic.
What about suicidal?
There was one time in my life when I stayed the night with him, and I woke up to Jackie taking him to the mental ward for a suicide attempt.
You remember, was that overdose or cutting? What was that?
I believe it was right after he got his shack, is the bedroom in the backyard.
Give me 1 second. I think you said that the last contact you had with Tanner was in 2018. You helped him get a job.
Yes, I got him a job at all my son's moving and storage.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Very briefly, Judge. Seems like the dates may be a little foggy, but is what Tanner Horner did to you, is that clear in your mind?
Yes,
Why come forward now?
I figured the truth needs to be told. He deserves to pay for everything that he's done.
Objection, Your Honor. Court's ruled on this in the motion limiting.
Sorry.
All right. Sustained. The jury will disregard the last statement.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Goebel,
Nothing further, Your Honor.
may this witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you, sir. You go with the bailiff. I got to do one more thing outside your presence, okay? So let's take our afternoon break. I'll call you right back.